Welcome to the Business of Travel, the official podcast of the Global Business Travel Association. I'm Daniel Norris, member of the Accommodation Committee and Regional Director of Sales at ehotel, and I'll be your host for today's episode, Personalisation, Technology Trends in Accommodation. Before we jump into it, I'd like to build on a conversation we started in our previous GBTA podcast from last October, 5 Trends of Personalising the Business Travel Journey. In that episode, we looked at how personalisation is shaping the wider business travel experience. Today, we're narrowing the focus to accommodation and how technology is transforming everything from booking and payments through to the stay itself, and what that means for travel managers, hoteliers, and technology providers. I'm really pleased to be joined by a great mix of perspectives from across the industry. On the travel managers side, we have Andrea Batchelor from Barclays, we have Juliet Howie from Radisson Hotels, and then we have Joe Westlake from Accor. So before we dive into today's discussion, I thought we'd do what every traveller does when they start their hotel journey. Check in. So we're here, we're going to get to the start with a little icebreaker, and I'm going to ask Joe, Andrea, and Juliet, what's the best personalised hotel experience that you've ever had?
Well, Dan.
Who wants to go first?
I'll kick off, Dan. I'll kick off. And I don't know if the hotel actually organised it for us, but I remember when we stayed in a very lovely hotel in London, Rihanna was staying. And I think actually my other half found that's the best part of the stay, that the hotel had organised Rihanna to be sleeping above us. And that was the conversation that he told everyone about our wonderful hotel stay, was that the fact that he had Rihanna staying above him. So there you go.
What I love about that is obviously you and Rihanna are staying at the same prestigious hotels.
Yes, of course. Well, what do you expect, Dan?
Who wants to go next, Joe or Juliet?
Go. My most memorable experience was just recently, actually. Having done the London Marathon, I was attending an event and the organisers knew about it, and it was a informal drinks reception, and they placed a lovely chair out for me, the only person to have a chair with my name written on it, because they knew that my legs probably wouldn't allow me to stand all evening. So yeah, it was absolutely fantastic touch. So that's my most memorable experience.
Yeah, I can imagine you needed it after 26 miles.
Absolutely.
And Juliet?
I think for me, it's when I've stayed at hotels, and this has happened a few times, when everywhere I go, people know me. They're saying, hello, Juliet. The barman says, hello, Juliet. Would you like this? I go to the restaurant. Oh, hello, Juliet. I've got this table booked for you. When I check in, it's like being stalked, but in a positive way. So I love that experience.
Yeah, no, I love that too. I think we've all been there when you're in a hotel and you do ask yourself a question, how do they know my name? And then realise that it's probably there in front of them. But no, I completely agree, Juliet. So look, some great examples there. And I think it already shows that personalisation means different things to different people. So let's jump into it and let's explore how technology is helping make those experiences possible across the accommodation sector. So from a buyer's perspective, it's about control, compliance, and traveller experience. From a supplier side, it's about delivering meaningful stays and building loyalty. And from a technology perspective, it's about connecting everything together to make it all work seamlessly. So let's get to it. Andrea, we'll start from a travel manager's perspective. What technology trends are having the biggest impact on personalisation today, both from a travel manager's and from a traveller's experience?
Thanks, Dan. I do think from a travel buyer's perspective, technology such as AI and machine learning will in time be able to do a number of things for us, like rapidly analyze data sets, identify travel patterns, preferences, anomalies, everything from looking at the booking experience all the way through to building out our programs as well. Although I do feel at the moment for us, particularly, it is still in its early stages. And so you're finding that you're kind of getting a bit of a mix of results. I think once more advanced, then of course, then it can do multiple things for us and get those data sets and really kind of analyze them and kind of anticipate what our travelers are going to be doing and making it more personalized for them. And also as well, spot those inefficiencies that we may be missing today. As I say, I don't think it's kind of there yet, but it is getting there. What I would really like to do is get away from me having to double check everything, but I appreciate that I am a bit of a control freak. So maybe I'm never going to be one of those people completely adopting technology into making it kind of easier for my role. But I would love for AI especially to when, for instance, for us, you have various different suppliers coming with their, promotions, loyalty schemes and things like that. And it's just tell me which travelers are staying at those hotels or accommodation partners or whoever really, and they haven't signed up to the various offerings. So they're actually then getting a better experience, more personalized to them, and also as well saving us money as the corporates. With regards to the booking process, again, I think there's a lot more coming in the AI powered by chatbots, an overlay on the OBT and things like that. So people can then start using more kind of human language when they're typing in what they would like, rather than having to know all the city pairing codes and everything else, which me as a travel buyer still doesn't get those at all. But anyway, that's by the by. But I do still think, though, that being able to, in the booking process, you still need to have, I think, that person at the end of the phone to provide that kind of empathy and support when things don't go to plan. AI is great at getting you to where you need to be in that kind of triage process. But if, for instance, I don't know, I'm stranded in the middle of the night and I don't wish to stay on a park bench, I think that's the time where I'd like to have somebody at the end of the phone going, okay, Andrea, we've got you a hotel. It's nice and warm. They'll know your name as soon as you come in. And, that's where you still kind of need that human touch, and AI, is never going to do that, I don't think. And so you still want to kind of keep that personalization as well in the traveler's journey. But as I say, I think it has got its place. I don't think it's going to, necessarily take over what everyone does so well today. So I suppose in summary of me waffling on, I do think that AI offers powerful tools for enhancing personalization, efficiency, satisfaction in all of our kind of roles and to the travelers themselves. But it doesn't replace that kind of need for a thoughtful human personalized support, intuitive design, empathetic problem solving, all of those bits and pieces that we all do so wonderfully today.
Yeah, look, thank you, Andrea. That's number one, that's a great view, and I think we'll all agree that, and I think this actually references the last podcast we did, that number one, technology has to be joined up from your side, but also as well, when you look at how AI is supporting some of these connections and solutions, it's great. But as you mentioned, a human connection and a human at the end of a phone, let's say, or an email or whatever it be, is still really, really important. So look, great perspective. Julia, I'm going to jump to you next. Obviously, you're much closer to the delivery of a stay itself, particularly with your experience in the long stay space. How do you see personalization playing out in that environment?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And, to Andrea's point, it's really important to still have that human touch. But there's been so much change and development in our space, in the accommodation space, particularly in long stay. So really what's changing now is that longer stay accommodation is becoming smarter, more tailored and much more livable thanks to the tech. So what does that look like? Let's unpack that. So you need somewhere you can work. cook, relax, and recharge over time, not just crash between meetings. Personalization tech is stepping in to recognize that. For example, booking tools now flag long stay friendly properties with kitchenettes, laundry, proper workspaces, and quieter locations, for when you're working from home. Your stay length and purpose feed into that recommendations. For example, a 3-month project gets a different set of options than a 3-night visit. So that really makes such a difference. And what's really new is the way providers are building a rich profile of longer staying guests. For example, it goes beyond your typical non-smoking high floor into how you actually want to live. Some examples of that are, do you cook most evenings? Systems can surface units with better kitchen facilities and nearby supermarkets and not just restaurants. Do you work late from your room? You'll be matched with spaces that have strong Wi-Fi, ergonomic seating, and good lighting. Are you a morning gym person or an evening walker? Over time, suggestions adapt. Gym access, nearby parks, running routes, especially for Joe, and even safer late evening walking options. Across multiple trips that profiles follow you, so each new long stay starts off far closer to your ideal setup. For longer stays, for example, your phone isn't just a digital key, it becomes a whole control panel for your daily life. And what we're seeing is preset room environments, your preferred temperature, your lighting scenes for work versus relaxation, even which streaming apps you're signed into. Routine automation, housekeeping scheduled around your work calls, towel and linen changes at your preferred frequency, regular grocery top-ups, and you can tweak all of this in an app. Micro personalization in services, your usual coffee order, what you like to have, an iced latte or an espresso, your go-to breakfast, your favorite pillow type. This is locked into your profile and applied automatically throughout the stay. The big benefit for long stay travelers is stability. You don't have to constantly renegotiate the basics of living every few days. The space remembers how you like to live. For long stay corporate trips, personalization is becoming more context aware. It understands you're not just in a city, you're there on a specific project. And what does that look like? For example, prioritizing rooms or units that are closer to the client site or within easy, reliable commute options. Highlighting quiet zones, meeting rooms or co-working spaces you can use regularly, not just as one-offs. Recommending services that matter over weeks, for example, express laundry with your preferences saved, long-term desk rental for home working, or secure storage if you're commuting in and out of that unit. On longer stays, well-being matters more, and tech is starting to personalize around that too. Apps, for example, can surface nearby gyms, running routes, yoga studios, or healthy food options that match your usual habits and what you do at home. If your pattern shows late night working, the system might suggest wind down options, a darker room setting, a quiet floor, or blackout blinds already configured for your arrival. Some platforms are beginning to nudge you with gentle, personalized prompts. For example, reminders to move, hydrate, or step outside between video calls based on how your days have been structured. The goal is to keep you functional and healthy over weeks, not just get you through a couple of intense days. And all of this, and talking about what Andrea was saying earlier, relies on data, and that's especially sensitive over a long period. So to summarise, the best providers are letting travellers and travel managers set boundaries, what can be remembered and what can be one time only, keeping a clear line between helpful personalisation and anything that feels intrusive, and allowing companies to set frameworks. For example, budget caps, safety standards, and neighbourhood preferences, while still tailoring within those guardrails.
Wow, thanks, Juliet. Look, there's lots of consideration there, and from a profile perspective, how much flexibility there is in that space. So I think it's a really interesting area to look at. One bit that I liked and I jotted down here was when you mentioned that I think you mentioned for long stays, your phone isn't just a digital key, it will become a kind of a control panel for daily life. And I think that gives a great example of where technology quietly removes the friction that travelers have. Thank you, Juliet. Joe, I'm going to move to you for the next question. So, from the perspective of a global hotelier, how are business travelers' expectations changing, and which technology trends are making the biggest difference in delivering a more personalised stay?
Thanks, Dan. Yes, from a hotel's perspective, personalisation really isn't a nice to have anymore. It's a core expectation. Importantly, what we're moving to is beyond what I'd call a surface level personalisation. So in the past, it's all been about recognising a guest, remembering preferences and offering a in-room amenity. That still matters, but today it's about using technology. So real-time data, connected platforms that create a seamless, relevant experience across the entire journey. Ultimately, we're seeing a shift that is becoming an experience, and the experience is the USP. The experience really is the true value. The opportunity is how we bring that to life through digital platforms, particularly apps, AI-driven insights, and a connected ecosystem across travel. We are seeing a strong move towards predictive and AI-driven personalization, where systems can anticipate needs before the traveller even has to ask, recommending the right property, the right rate, all of the right services based on patterns across multiple stays that you've had, across destinations, across the traveller behaviour. For example, systems now are able to predict that you go to an annual event every year. AI is now able to push to you information about that event, give you a nudge to proceed and make a booking, advising you that hotel prices are going up, they're going down, this is your preferred hotel, they're almost already full, you need to make your reservation. And we're recommending flight times and pricing that suit your schedule and your budget, where you allow AI into your world. We're also seeing app notifications becoming more personalised, so that when you arrive in the city, you check into your hotel, and through the app, powered by your preferences, powered by your past behaviour and real-time location, we know that when you travel, you tend to have a certain cuisine of restaurant, or that you tend to love a running route like I do. All of these now, app notifications are being pushed through to the traveller, so all of the information that they want that is relevant to them, is relevant for the place, is relevant for you personally, is popping up for you. This is where technology is really adding value. It's more about options. It's not just about the options. It's about the right experience at the right time with very minimal effort. But, and this is key, technology doesn't create just a great experience. It's not technology alone. It is the combination of digital and human interaction. And this is key. Technology enables the insights, but it's the teams in our hotels that bring that to life, the human touch. That moment where a guest feels genuinely recognised and understood, that's what turns it into a memorable stay and drives the loyalty. And of course, as technology becomes more advanced, there's an important balance, particularly with corporate business travellers, around personalisation and privacy. Guests are willing to share data, but only when there's transparency, control, and a clear value. So for us, it's about combining AI, data, connected platforms, and a human connection to create the experience that feels effortless, intuitive, and truly personalized. Because in the end, the personalization isn't just about the stay, it's improving the entire travel experience through technology. And this is where it's really beginning to deliver. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Joe. And again, coming back to what Andrea said and Julia, it's really interesting. I think there is definitely a understanding and a theme that, you know, technology is going to accelerate so much, but actually we work in hospitality, right? And that's where people are a key core value of what that journey looks like for the traveler. Thanks, Joe. So from my perspective, I'm going to talk about the technology perspective. And for me, personalization is really about how well everything connects behind the scenes, because without that, none of what we discussed really truly scales. The way I see personalization and technology is through really three core areas. So content, the booking experience, and then payments and billing. So breaking each one down individually. So first of all, looking at content, we know that obviously there is access to multiple sources when booking, and that could be GDS, that could be direct hotel connections, wholesalers, and many more. But the challenge really, in my opinion, isn't about availability. It is the relevance to the traveller. So personalisation here is about surfacing the right options based on company setup, traveller profile, and policy. So users aren't overwhelmed with choice, but in turn more guided towards the most suitable options. So that's content. The second part is booking experience. So this, for me, is where technology can remove friction. We spoke a little bit about this just previously. So we're looking at pre-filled profiles, aligning preferences, and intelligent filtering for travelers, which can make decisions quickly without compromising on compliance. And interestingly, we talk about AI, and I think we've already spoke about it a couple of times today. It comes up in every conversation you probably have. AI is helping travelers find the right accommodation with less effort. So rather than searching through hundreds of options, technology is moving towards understanding the contents, why you're traveling, how long you're staying, whether you're traveling alone or with colleagues, and then in turn recommending the most suitable hotel accommodation before you even have to ask. And then on the back of that, looking ahead, I think the most successful travel technology won't necessarily be a platform with the most features, but the one that removes the friction. So when personalization works well, the technology pretty much disappears. Travelers simply find the right accommodation at the right price with the right experience, while organizations retain the control, visibility, and the compliance that they need. That's where I believe our industry is heading on the booking side of it. And then last but not least, I mentioned about payments and billing. So this is where personalization delivers the most value for businesses. So tailoring invoices to cost centers, ensuring VAT compliance, aligning with internal finance systems and stakeholders removes a huge amount of manual effort that gives companies far better visibility over their travel spend. Ultimately, personalization is only as good as the data that sits behind it. The real opportunity isn't creating more travel data, but pretty much connecting existing data more intelligently so that buyers, suppliers, and technology platforms are all working on one page with the same information. The reality of it is when technology gets personalization right, it pretty much removes a lot of the friction. So travelers simply find the right hotel at the right price with the right experience. And that for me is what ultimately great business travel should feel like. So that's the technology perspective. I'll wrap it up now. So let's look at this. We've had the buyers, suppliers, and technology perspective. Bringing that all together, what's clear is that personalization is in business travel accommodation isn't owned by one part of the ecosystem. It's a combination of perspectives. The buyer setting the framework, the supplier delivering the experience, and technology enabling it all to work together. And when those pieces align, the impact is pretty clear. Better travel experience, stronger compliance, and improved commercial outcomes. If there's one thing to take away from this, personalization is no longer optional. It's becoming a core expectation across business travel. I'll leave you with a couple of questions to ask yourself. Where are you enabling personalization today within your travel program? Are your partners aligned in how they support it? And how can you use it not just to improve experience, but to drive better results? At that point in time, I'm going to hit the bell. It's checkout time, so I'm glad I heard all of your stories at the start. You've been listening to the Business of Travel, the official podcast of the Global Business Travel Association. For more information, visit gbta.org, and don't forget to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening to us today, and until next time, we'll see you soon.